Hello everybody, welcome back for another video. Hope you're all doing well and that you're all having an incredible day. To start things off, Bitcoin now has 85% of its total supply in circulation as of the 1st of August, leaving just 3.15 million new Bitcoin that will ever be created, and it will take place over the next 120 years, according to the data from monitoring source known as Blockchain. Thursday saw Bitcoin miners extract the 17.85 millionth unit as part of the transaction validation process. As a result, due to the number of coins awarded to miners per block decreasing over time, the remaining supply will only be unlocked in the year 2140. Bitcoin has a fixed total supply of 21 million units. A lot of people were asking before. This has been a very big question, especially even if you've been in the cryptocurrency space for a while. A lot of people don't know this date. Mathematically, it has been calculated. If things continue to be the same exact way, if the hash rate continues to be the same as we are currently seeing it right now, people believe that it'll take until the year 2140 for the very last Bitcoin to be mined. And even more so, what actually ends up happening is that every 4 years, the amount of Bitcoin that is released by the network as people are validating transactions gets cut in half. So next year, it's going to get cut in half. In 2024, it's going to get cut in half. In 2028, it's also going to get cut in half, etc., etc., etc. But every single time that happens, eventually we're going to get to a point where Bitcoin that are being created, as opposed to it being 25 per block, 12.5 per block, 6.5 per block, going to have around like 0.325214 of a Bitcoin, which means eventually there will be very, very little. So this is why it'll take another 120 or so years to get to the last Bitcoin. Here's the actual chart right here for the number of Bitcoin in circulation. Scarcity is about to kick in. The crypto trading account known as Rhythm on Twitter commented on the event. The current Bitcoin supply means only a maximum of 17.85 million people can own an entire coin. In reality, however, some of the existing mine supply is not in circulation and never will be, as users lose access to private keys. Estimates such as those from Bitcoin blockchain research firm Chainalysis in 2017 have put the proportion of those lost coins at up to 4 million, or over 20% of the total supply of Bitcoin. This was a major discussion sometime last year, I guess, as we got closer this year, because we're 2 or 3 days away from Litecoin's reward getting cut in half. The idea is that as Bitcoin's popularity increases, as millions more people join the network and join the cryptocurrency revolution every single year, more people will want to grab their hands on, get more Bitcoin. The interesting fact is that as more people learn about Bitcoin, the price of Bitcoin goes up. The higher Bitcoin's price goes up, the more difficult it is for people to be able to obtain an entire Bitcoin. Also, we know that there are a number of wealthy individuals on this planet who hold enormous amounts of Bitcoin. I can't even remember their names. We've spoken about them over the last year and a half, some change, somewhere around there. People who have 30,000 Bitcoin, 15,000 Bitcoin, 8,000 Bitcoin, a pair of twins who have at least 200,000 Bitcoin. So when I first got into the cryptocurrency space many moons ago, one of the main discussions was that eventually people would realize how scarce Bitcoin was, and they would at least try to own one. But part of the problem would be is that other people who knew about it beforehand were already gathering up as much Bitcoin as they possibly could, trying to accumulate an entire Bitcoin. And even more so, right here, it's estimated that anywhere between 4 to 6 million Bitcoin are lost and gone forever. That means people lost their private keys, people lost their passwords, people can't get into their computers, people threw away their computers, any multitude of scenarios that you could possibly think of. So when you have a situation where the 17.85 millionth Bitcoin was just mined, around 6 million are lost, that leaves around 11 million, based off of simple calculations of just how many people out there that we know are holding Bitcoin, the amount of people on the network, the amount of analysis that has been done the last couple of months for what are they called? Like dead wallets, or like dead Bitcoin, pretty much Bitcoin that have been put into a wallet and is just not moving. So this can be a wallet that has had Bitcoin constantly put into it over the last 5 years, but the coins inside of it are just not moving. That number has exponentially grown over the last couple of years. And even more so, the most interesting part of all of this is that there are more millionaires in the world than there are actual one whole Bitcoin floating around at the moment, which means there's not enough Bitcoin for every millionaire, not even billionaire, to even hold a complete Bitcoin, nonetheless normal people. And this is why I believe that we saw a mad dash in 2018 for a lot of people getting into the cryptocurrency space. For those of you who do not know or are unaware, for those of you who are here, you definitely remember this. There was a situation during the course of 2018 where Bitcoin's price kept on shrinking. Going down, we were at 19,000, 18,000, 12,000, 10,000, then back up to 15, then back down to 8, and then around to 7, and then 6. And then 3,200. But during that same exact time, many companies were announcing that people were buying up cryptocurrencies over the counter, so not directly on cryptocurrency exchanges. And they were reaching new all-time highs. They were selling 30 million, 45 million in a month, and it kept on going on and on. And we learned even more so from the people from the New York Stock Exchange who are launching something called Backed, B-A-K-K-T, B-A-K-K-T. There we go. That they had been accumulating massive amounts of Bitcoin as prices were going down. So the rough estimate, R-U-F-F, I know that's not how you spell it, estimate is right now that there may only be around 1 million Bitcoin actually circulating, passing between hands, people trading it back and forth. And that as we get to the Bitcoin reward being cut in half next May, that things will get a little crazy, because as more institutions come into the cryptocurrency space, as more people are told by their financial advisors, you should maybe just buy a Bitcoin to have in your portfolio, things will kind of heat up very fast, if I can kind of say that. Anyway, it's a very crazy milestone. 85% of all the Bitcoin there will ever be has now been mined. That is completely insane. I wonder what the number is going to be by the reward getting cut in half next year. Very fascinating, and almost tying directly into this. The United Kingdom's most read newspaper, known as The Sun, has raised the issue of Bitcoin's increasingly limited supply to its tens of millions of readers. The newspaper ran the typical provocative headline, "Dry supply. Bitcoin supply is running out as 85% of all Bitcoins have now been mined, and experts say prices could soar," end quote. The article itself is largely bullish, drawing on the dwindling supply of the coin as a catalyst for higher prices. Unfortunately, the paper also makes a rather glaring error in its reporting on the cryptocurrency. The error was something like, I don't remember exactly what it was, but it's something that all crypto users know, and it's not really that insane. The entire point of it is that they have tens of millions of people who read their articles in newspapers every single day, and they now know the word, or have seen the word Bitcoin once again. They've seen the word dwindling supply, dry supply. They know that something is up. And when you have the term experts say prices could soar, that sends people into a frenzy. Very fascinating when things like this end up happening. Years and years ago, it was very difficult to get any type of headline, mainstream news, article, publication, anything to look at the cryptocurrency space as anything but negative. I think that's changed over the last couple of years, in my opinion, because I'm fairly certain a lot of the heavyweights in the world, some of the richest people on this planet, are probably buying up cryptocurrencies themselves. And this is why they've also told the news stations and other publications to kind of change their tune. I'm sure you definitely notice, especially if you watch financial news, they'll usually have the Bitcoin and Litecoin price scrolling up at the top. And also they usually have like a segment where they talk about Bitcoin and where the price is going. Even if the price is down now, there's no longer that much of a negative sentiment like there was, especially in 2016, 17, and 15 and stuff like that. Anyway, this is very interesting. I don't know exactly what is normally in the Sun, but all I care about is the fact that millions of people woke up in the morning, picked up the newspaper, and they read the words, Bitcoin, supplies running out, prices could soar, which is always a very, very bullish thing for Bitcoin and the cryptocurrency space. And next up, blockchain analytics firm Elliptic collaborated with researchers from the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, or MIT, to publish a public data set of Bitcoin transactions associated with illicit activity. The group's study detailed how researchers at the MIT IBM Watson AI Lab used machine learning software to analyze 200,000 Bitcoin node transactions worth roughly $6 billion US in total. The research explored whether artificial intelligence could assist current anti-money laundering procedures. Only 2% of the 200,000 Bitcoin transactions in the data set were deemed illicit as part of Elliptic's initial work, while 21% were identified as lawful. The vast majority of the transactions, roughly 77%, remain unclassified. To date, there have been an estimated 440 million Bitcoin transactions since the network's launch in 2009. That's absolutely insane. The main point of this is there's a company, here we go, right here, Chainalysis, who works with governments and governmental centers and other organizations and stuff like that to make sure that people aren't using their cryptocurrency wrong. A lot of people don't like Chainalysis, if you didn't get that from the tone of my voice. The point is, a lot of governments are very concerned that the main usage of Bitcoin, Litecoin, blah, blah, blah coin, is that they're being used for drugs, human trafficking, illegal number 3, illegal number 4. And that's not even me joking. It's true. Like, governments really think that people are too stupid and that they're only using cryptocurrencies in order to evade taxes and trying to do something else illicit to be able to get away from government control. The fact is that there are an enormous amount of people around the world who are using cryptocurrencies to send money to their families, to send friends money, to buy things. There are a couple of crypto podcasters who I think actually use Bitcoin in their daily lives. Like, they get paid in Bitcoin. They only go to stores that allow things to be paid in Bitcoin. Like, they live with Bitcoin. There are a number of people around the world who have mentioned many times that I live here, my family lives there. So when I go to work and I get my money, I find a Bitcoin ATM. And because I can't normally send them money through Western Union or MoneyGram because of the US sanctions, I send it through Bitcoin. This is a very big thing. So the fact that 200,000 transactions were analyzed and only 2% were seen as illicit, which doesn't even have a clear classification as to what exactly illicit could even potentially mean, that's wonderful. More analysis like this will most certainly be done, as governments are very desperate right now. For those governments that aren't buying, for those governments that don't believe in it, they're looking for they're looking for something wrong. They're desperately trying to search and see exactly how much dirt they can dig up on Bitcoin to say, well, our analysis shows this, and we believe that so-and-so, but they've been doing this for years. We've had multiple central banks who've probably also been doing their own analysis with Chainalysis, and they've all come out and said, well, crypto's not a threat. We've seen that even during areas where we thought that people were going to use cryptocurrencies, they were actually using the US dollar, or they were using the euro, or they were using the so-and-so. They actually didn't. Most of the time, they're not even using Bitcoin. They're usually using Monero, Zcash, or Dash. That's not even a joke. There have been tons of studies on that. I think Monero and Zcash being the two most popular ones that, air quotes, criminals, I don't know what they're doing, usually end up using in order to have obfuscated private transactions as they're dealing and stuff. Anyway, yeah, good news for all of us, and let's move on. Next up, Decred may be late in launching a decentralized exchange, but plans to offer a unique product. The Decred project will use atomic swaps, a direct connection between blockchains, to perform peer-to-peer exchanges. Decred has been testing atomic swaps for months. And while the technique has a relatively low capacity, it is one possibility to switch between assets without a centralized exchange mechanism. In this way, Decred hopes to deal with bot order-based placement and other forms of high-frequency trading. They said the DEX described in this document is based on atomic swaps, signed and transmitted by the clients. Thus, the exchange of funds is trustless and secure. The purpose of the decentralized exchange is to facilitate such peer-to-peer trades while de-incentivizing manipulative or abusive trading patterns and utilizing an independently verifiable order matching algorithm that is difficult to game by traders and operators alike, exclaimed the Decred team in the GitHub documentation. The only exchange offering atomic swaps is the Komodo DEX. Although it has relatively low capacity, the Decred DEX will aim to offer an anonymous service without requiring customers giving any of their information, such as KYC, know your customer information. Kind of cool. Decred and Komodo are definitely not things that we hear about on a daily basis. What people are trying to do now, at least in my opinion, is the cryptocurrency space is desperately trying to move towards the decentralized realm. There are a number of things that are supposed to be, what's it called, taking place. Like, what's the phrase? It's kind of like in life and in crypto. When you look back at the past, we're farther ahead than we thought we would be, but not as whatever. I lost it completely in my head. It has to do with the fact that years ago, people thought that we would only by now be using decentralized exchanges. That's not how things are going, but people are trying to work toward decentralized exchanges because the future of the cryptocurrency space, as it's looking right now, is that the world at large, especially many people who are trying to have control over their own finances, will use decentralized exchanges as opposed to using Coinbase. And also, we're going to have definitely private transactions on top of the many top coins. And therefore, when you have private transactions with decentralized cryptocurrency exchanges who aren't being run by one single person, you can do whatever you want with your money as you so please. So this is why I think this may be like a bit of a race. Like I said, years ago, people thought that we would definitely already have these in mass and everyone would only be using these. I think it's about a good 5, 6, 7 years away before they're really secure, really robust, and we kind of have the numbers that we need to start moving people over there. Anyway, this is kind of cool. Like I said, we don't hear about Decred ever, but good for them on trying to further the usage of cryptocurrency and the future, I'll use that word, of the cryptocurrency space. Next up, Busan has been declared as a regulation-free zone for blockchain developers by South Korea's national government, a move long expected but now formalized as part of a larger liberalization push. Zug, Switzerland, is said to be one of the models of the zone. The Ministry of the SME and Startups announced on the 24th of July that the second largest city in the country by population will host a wide range of blockchain offerings related to finance, public safety, and tourism. Though it stopped short of fully opening the market and allowing for international level crypto initiatives, according to the Korean Herald. A total of 11 regulations have been lifted by the project. It is expected that investors will move 29.9 billion won, 25 million US dollars, into the region by 2021, and development will be spread between the Munhyeon Innovation District, the Central Innovation District, and the Dongsam Innovation District. Without even reading any further, the point of this is that South Korea and Japan were heavyweights in the cryptocurrency world in 2017. That has kind of been pulled back a tiny, but they do still have sometimes a premium on cryptocurrency prices within their borders. But South Korea was believed for a very long time. Actually, it still is. South Korea is already apparently, so I've heard, so I've read, so I've seen on little documentaries, completely insane for cryptocurrencies. They love it. They can't get enough of it. But the government doesn't like how much that they're into it. So they try to really pull back. They tried to scare people in South Korea last year when government leaders were announcing that they were going to ban it. And thank goodness we have honest other government leaders, which is very rare. They came forward and they said, nope, you can't ban it. We don't control this. We didn't make it. We can't do that. So that kind of got shut down. And what it appears right now is happening is that the government is trying to figure out ways to kind of inch forward with the continuation of regulation for the cryptocurrency space within their country. I mean, you give a little, get a little, if you can kind of say that. I think it'll continue to do very well in South Korea. I think government leaders around the world are trying to figure out ways that they can not only benefit monetarily from this themselves, but also make sure that they're also not hindering any type of progression within their country. So kind of cool. I mean, like, not the most exciting news story that we've ever had, but this has been happening more and more this year around multiple countries around the world. I assume by the end of this year, I don't know. I think a large multitude of countries, except for about 3, will have their cryptocurrency blockchain laws intact, which is good for the industry. But there will definitely be a couple of places that are going to be, I don't want to use the term left behind, but it kind of is what it is. To finish things off, without even reading through this either, the last couple of days have been quite interesting. Bitcoin is currently over 10,500 US dollars. We're getting the same calls again for those of you who don't know, it was believed a couple of weeks ago when Bitcoin was around $13,800, people were saying that we would never, ever see a Bitcoin price below 10,000 US dollars again. Of course, we had to go down to around 9,000, was it $9,300 or something like that? But currently, Bitcoin's price over the last couple of days has been doing exceptionally well. There's been a large amount of not negative news, but trade talk news, Brexit news. What else is there? Something else just recently happened in China. There's a lot of little things happening around the world, and we just had the other news story about a day or two ago where the people were analyzing, and they said that they have seen that whenever there are negative economic news stories happening around the world, that Bitcoin does extremely well. And I guess that is probably the main cause of a, what is it? About a $1,000 increase over the last 4 or 5 days alone. Kind of nice to see. Let's see if this actually ends up continuing. As always, I have to sneeze and it won't come out. My goodness. As always, a very special thank you to my Patreon supporters, Professor Wally from Gunbot University, Strange Radio Central, Mill Wheezy, hello to you, Damien, Bankroll Network, Master Ventures in Thailand, Cryptopolis, 242 to the World, Triple MNJ, My Keto Kitchen, Assam M. El Zofri, Adobo, Crypto and Beer Shipmate, Brady Niels, L. Doug, Jared Schneider, Wise Night Owl, Crypto Joe, Mohair Maroney, Carl Birchenoff, singer-songwriter Mike Savitz, Rai Rai, Yasha Harari, Amy Starchin, Jeffrey Ramsey, Clara T. Snowden, Crypto Artist, Cole D3D, Nicholas from North One Piece One Love, Setsuna, Nick Kanaya, Richie Rich III, RF Dusty, Vlad the Impaler, Paxis, Tom Sucks at Basketball, and Sam Skips Leg Day, Jeremy the Photographer, Jim Gardner, Minting Coins, Arthur Yaku, Nick Mangialavori, Anthony Charles, and Mechanic. Thank you all very much for your continued support at the moment. For those who are not looking at the screen, the market's kind of weird. Bitcoin is currently at 10,756 US dollars, pushing itself up slightly. What's happening is, for some reason, I'm not sure if this is a dip down, if prices are going down, or because Bitcoin is going up, that the other coins are also in red. Many of the other altcoins are currently in red, and even their Satoshi prices are also in red, which is usually an indication that Bitcoin is being fed. If that makes any sense to you, usually people sell their other coins, especially when the Satoshi price is going down, that they are pushing their money into the number one coin. Monero slightly up. Chainlink is also up for some reason. And not many other coins. Doge doesn't really count as 30 million in volume. Yeah, so depending on where you look, depending on where you get your information from, depending on if you are bearish or bullish on the cryptocurrency space, a lot of people think, THINK, that Bitcoin could be positioning itself for a move above $11,000 once again this weekend. I saw a couple of really weird things. A lot of people thought that Bitcoin could be doing a little bit of a sideways dance for the next couple of weeks until we get proper clarity or information as to when Bakkt is going to be launching, which could then also have a positive effect on the Bitcoin price. However, people think that what we see happening is that the last couple of days has been people trying to push the price of Bitcoin down to see if it would go down and then kind of stay down and continue falling down. And this is why we had those numbers once again last week, where people were like, yeah, Bitcoin's heading down to 7,000, Bitcoin's heading down to 6,000, Bitcoin's heading down to blah, blah, blah. I saw once again somebody said Bitcoin's going down to 2,200. Bless your soul, because that is probably the least likely thing to happen in the crypto. I think Tether has more of a chance of going to $2,000 right now than Bitcoin does of having to actually fall down to 2,000. We'll see exactly how things develop over the next 2 days. I could definitely see an $11,000 Bitcoin by Monday. Do I think we're going to hit 14,000 again anytime soon? Not unless we get some type of really, really good news that could push Bitcoin's price up. Anyway, clearly I'm talking too fast and or talking too much. I hope you all enjoyed. Hope you all are having a great day, a great morning, a great afternoon, a great evening, wherever you are, wherever you might be. I do hope it's absolutely fantastic. Thank you all once again for watching and or listening, and thank you for your continued support. You're all absolutely amazing. Thank you all for your kind words. I do read the comment section. I do see the nice things that people say and the support and the people who've been here for a very long time. If you've been here for a very long time, I'm giving you digital high fives. You can't see my hands, but I'm smacking the air, and I'm hoping that you're smacking it back so that I don't look that crazy to my neighbors, because there's a guy across the street, older gentleman, and he sometimes sees me making videos, and I know he thinks I'm crazy because I'm flailing my arms in the air and I'm also smacking the air. So good morning to you, sir, as well. Thank you all once again for watching and or listening. And I will most certainly be talking to you all soon. See you.